Election Day 2025. It is a great time to be covering politics right now. And we have some interesting races. And we know there's no president to vote for. There's no governor to vote for. There's lots of good stuff to vote for out there. You still have time to hit the polls, everybody. We're recording this around 4:15. The polls close at 8 o'clock. So get to it if you want. If you're not sure, let's give you some things to talk about and to vote on. Let's bring in Candace Scalise. Let's bring in Maxine Rose and talk about what they're looking at today. We'll start with Candace. So what race has your attention? Where will you be?
So we are going to be live at Susquehanna Township. And the reason that we are here is because there is a big vote happening today, and it's all about taxes and schools. So one of the things on the agenda is whether or not residents want to double their taxes so that they can build a new elementary school. Right now, there are a lot of students in trailers. This was actually voted on last year. I think, Joel, you told me it was 14,000 people who voted in this election. 37 vote difference. It ended up not passing. So they're trying again this year. And we just got to the polling place. We're parked a little far from it, but there are a lot of people out there and there are a lot of signs, a lot of canvassing happening. So that's going to be really important for this specific township.
This is one of those topics. I mean, it affects your pocketbook immediately. Yes. The one guy's comparison 100%. Last night was like, it's like having another car payment. But you're not getting anything for it unless, of course, you trust that it's a good thing for your school district and they need another school. Right now they have some people in, kids are in trailers and these extra pieces they keep adding to the school they have now. So is this a big decision for Susquehanna Township tonight?
And it's not a light tax. It's basically essentially going to double the tax. So like you were saying, that is going to come down to a lot of money for some people in the district.
It could be. Right. All right. So now we bring in Maxine Rose. You're kind of covering stuff on a bigger level, on kind of like what's the impact of endorsements, things like that. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, as many of you may have seen, if you follow President Donald Trump on Truth Social or any of his social media accounts, you may have seen that he talked about the Pennsylvania Supreme Court justice retention situation there. So there are 3 Democratic Supreme Court justices seeking another term, 10-year term. He had said, vote, quote, no, 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 and had talked about why he believes, that Pennsylvanians should not ask for another term here. And so what we asked people today was, do you think, those types of posts from President Donald Trump really has an impact on the way that you go into the polls and you vote? And we heard a lot of mixed things today. We heard people who say, it doesn't matter. We want to stick to what we know, what we believe. We did our own research, so on and so forth. But then there are other people who say, whatever Trump says goes. We've trusted him. We align with his policies. We want to go with whatever he is saying. And then, of course, you have the other side, and this is what we're hearing a lot too now, Joel.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Let's go one piece at a time here.
Sure, yeah. There's a lot.
So the people that were talking about Trump endorsing this idea, were they going to vote anyway? And they probably would have voted no. Or were they actually made aware of this situation because Trump said something? I mean, that's what he's trying to do. If you're already a Republican and you're very in tune on what's going on, you're going to vote no, no, no because you understand the topic. I think what he's trying to do is wake up some of his supporters and say, this is something I'd like you to focus on.
Yeah, that's very fair. I mean, I think there are a lot of people who... Well, I will say, too, not everybody that I spoke with today saw the post specifically. But so, yes, I would say a lot of Republicans would then vote no, no, no because, where they stand within just.
If they're politically aware, I guess that's the thing. Yeah. You got to be politically aware or just turn on the TV because this is the most expensive retention race ever. There's usually a nothing. Race because only one has not been retained since 1968. So that's not really an issue there. Candace, for people you were out with today, what was their awareness level of the topics? What was going on? Their level of interest in this? I mean, they're voters, obviously, but could you gauge kind of how in tune they were, or they just come because they always come?
I was out in Carlisle earlier today, and they were saying they had a pretty steady turnout. And part of the reason that they think that is because of what's happening in the federal government, the fact that it's shut down, people aren't getting paid. So there was some awareness of the Supreme Court, but I think there was, because of what's happening federally, people are like, well, I need to vote on the municipal level because I need to help control what happens in my own community as everything's going on federally. So I think that's brought, some awareness to it and has brought more people out to the polls. There weren't too many people I spoke to that were super aware of what was going on with the Supreme Court, but I know that I did see, just like President Trump's Truth Social post about voting no. And if I hadn't seen that, would I have been as aware of it if I wasn't in the news? I don't know, because it's not something that we talk about.
Well, and the same thing, go ahead, Maxine, he's not the only politician talking about this.
Right. So we also have, Governor Josh Shapiro, who had responded to that, specifically, essentially reposting President Donald Trump's post, and just saying, that we want someone who understands, like essentially civic duty and the rule of law and, and all of that. So you have that, but then also a few days prior, we also saw former President Barack Obama talk about it as well. So you are seeing a bunch of political figures really having their eyes.
They would never normally do that, which is why the political climate we're in is more so of a lot of wins and losses. At every point you can find a competition, who's going to win, and even in a retention vote. Now, this one I will say is different because these were the judges that were in place that for some controversial decisions on the redistricting in Pennsylvania, on COVID lockdowns. And so they're maybe more of a target than usual because they happen to be in place when some big decisions were made.
Yeah, absolutely. And but to be honest, I think some people are aware of that, but some people aren't necessarily. So, from what I've gathered and speaking with people today, I think a lot of it really is that influence from President Donald Trump, just seeing what he has to say about it, without even really knowing maybe the background of all, just the simple fact of him saying, no, I don't want it. People are really taking that.
But there could be a backfiring on that as well, because Trump motivates people on both sides. He motivates people to come out and vote for him and people to vote against him. So there's also going to be people that says, oh, he wants us to do that? No way, I'm doing the other thing.
Well, yes, that was my next thing too. We definitely heard from people today who said, I don't even care if I agreed with what he said. If he said something that was really, great, I just would vote against it. So it was interesting. It was definitely some interesting conversations that we had around here today.
Yep. All right. Last word, Candace. What are you looking forward to tonight?
I think just talking to the voters, there's not usually that big of a turnout on these kind of elections, but I've been pleasantly surprised throughout the day, and there's a lot of activity here right now. So I'm just looking forward to asking people why they're showing up, and hopefully we'll get all the results tonight. That's what we're all hoping for.
Yes, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Okay, that's locally, and then a little bit. Our neighbors nearby have some interesting ones as well. The governor's race in New Jersey, extremely close. And
New York.
Then will the New York City mayor race be close or not? So a lot of stuff on a, so to speak, off year. Still could be some exciting results. And it all sets up for next year as well because everything connects. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Look forward to seeing some of your coverage tonight. We'll see you then.
All right. Thanks.
All right, folks, and make sure that you're tuning in to 21 Next later. It'll be around 9:15. We will have some results in by then. We will have a speech from the Secretary of the Commonwealth, Al Schmidt. If there were any problems, he'll address those at 9. And then we'll come on right at 9:15 to talk about that, but then also some results that we're seeing and go over some of the results for the races that we just talked about. So thanks for joining us on Election Day 2025. I'm Joel D. Smith. Back to you.